Hi, I'm Philip Shepard. It's my pleasure to welcome you to this amazing once-in-a-lifetime conference, and especially to the Meditation and Breathwork channel, which I'm proud to be sponsoring because meditation and breathwork are essential to my teachings. I'm the founder of the Embodied Present Process, or TEP, which is based on my 2 books and is taught worldwide. And here's one thing I believe about meditation and breathwork. You limit your experience of both if you imagine that your mind is just the thoughts in your head. Your mind permeates your every cell. Every stirring of energy within your body is an expression of it. So, if you wish to calm your mind, the most direct route is to develop the skills that enable you to feel the body's energy and ground it in the spaciousness of the present. That's what my work is about. If that appeals to you, I hope you'll check out my 2 presentations, one on this channel and one on the main stage. You might also be interested in a special offer exclusive to the Embodiment Conference, to listen to one of my embodied meditations for yourself for free. You can find a link to the special offer in the description of this presentation or in the show notes. And now, enjoy the presentation.
I want to introduce Dr. Tamara Russell. She is a clinical psychologist, martial artist, and neuroscientist that brings multiple perspectives to her mindfulness teaching, therapy, and research. Her particular interest is the embodiment of mindfulness, which lies at the heart of the training programs and courses she offers to the general public, to schools, corporations, and within the health sector. Tamara is the founder and co-director of the Mindfulness Center of Excellence in London, which is a virtual non-for-profit organization dedicated to innovation and thought leadership in the field of mindfulness, as well as a visiting lecturer at King's College in London in the Neuroimaging Department of the Institute of Psychiatry, Psychology, and Neuroscience. The unifying principle in all of this vast cross-disciplinary work is bringing together practical body-based mindfulness training to individuals of all ages. So, wow, I mean, that's quite the CV for sure. So please join me in welcoming Dr. Russell to the conference.
Thank you so much, everybody, for this opportunity to share. And that was kind of quite a nice resume, really, of a multiple training that I've had over the last 20 years that's blended a number of traditions and disciplines together. And so my style, my approach very much is mix and blend. I draw on insights from neuroscience about how the brain works and what it needs to do in order to learn. I flavor this with some knowledge from really what the core things are in the therapy room that I believe do need wider dissemination in the general public. So really deep thinking about what are the things that make the difference in the therapy room and how we can then bring them perhaps into a secular mindfulness training or into a classroom or into the workplace. But my heart and my passion for my own journey really comes from my martial arts training. And that was initially in quite a hard style, Shaolin Kung Fu, which I studied for about 10 years. And then moving more into the softer yin practices of Tai Chi. And within this journey, of course, I've been working as a healthcare worker, a clinical psychologist, developing mindfulness teacher training programs. And the core theme with all of this work is this word embodied and embodiment. And of course, we start with ourselves because that's actually where real embodiment comes from. It's the deep presence of the practitioner, no matter their discipline or orientation, that fundamentally does make a difference with any relationship, but especially within healing or transformative relationships. So my professional work, of course, is also a lifelong piece of work on my own development and my own growing, I hope, growing capacity to be embodied in the interactions that I have. And what I'd like to share with you today is a set of tools that have sprung from a variety of the sectors and the disciplines that I work in. And the core theme is meeting people where they're at. And I'm loving that Evelyn just literally wrote that as well in the box, because in the early days, I was working as an academic at the Institute of Psychiatry. My research, PhD and postdoctoral work was on working with people with psychosis, mainly the diagnosis of schizophrenia, but also bipolar and some dissociative disorders. So these are disorders where really the cognitive machinery and the neural architecture is pretty distressed and disturbed and very difficult to manage. And while I was aware that there are aspects of martial arts and meditation that may be very helpful for these individuals, it was clear that they needed something a little bit different. They needed to be stepped into the practices in a different way. And as many of the trauma-informed speakers have probably been dialoguing about in this conference, working with movement really is a great place to start when body and mind is highly distressed. So that's really one of the first kind of themes that comes through, that there's this movement element that supports embodiment in a way that can be particularly helpful if there's high levels of stress and arousal for any reason. And I believe now in COVID, we're all in a slightly collective psychotic moment. And therefore, I'm even more passionate about using movement. So we'll do some small movements as part of what we'll explore today. The other thing that really came to my awareness, particularly working with distressed body and minds and also healthcare workers and carers, is we need to do it in bite-sized pieces. I've worked with busy mums, career mums, mums with postnatal depression, senior leaders, all sorts of people, medical students, people that just roll their eyes when you suggest to them that they even stop to go to the toilet, let alone have a cup of tea or take a moment for themselves or do some deep introspective practice. And in my own journey, that was me, right? That was me as well when I was working as an academic and within the National Health Service. And it's sort of also part of my own kind of cognitive style, you know, more on that ADHD scale, very busy mind, very creative mind, wanting stimulation all the time. And while I've managed sometimes to move to longer practices with stillness, what I find when I work with my clients is shorter practices more often throughout the day is something that's really helpful. And that has another benefit, of course, which is another definition of embodiment that I like to draw on, which is embodiment is bringing your practice into every step, every interaction, every meeting, every client session. It's not waiting to go home and do your practice or waiting to go to the gym. It's about inserting it and embedding it in a collective way in any of the relationships or groups that you're in. So some people are referring to this as systems mindfulness, moving away from mindfulness as this more individualistic practice, bringing it out into the workplace. And it's not easy because it needs to be context sensitive. And the tools I'll share today, you know, the principles of the practice remain, but the contextual wraparound can be flexible to fit with the culture. Yeah, is it a medical culture? Is it a corporate culture? Are you in a school? Are you working with therapists? So what I believe I've kind of touched on is a flexible, applied, real-world system that can work for distressed bodies and minds and people that may be struggling with attention. And while on the one hand, that could be people that we meet in the clinic or in the medical setting, it does actually really describe everybody nowadays. The way that we use our technology, how technology has shaped our brains. Everybody has a type of acquired ADHD right now. And similarly, we're in this state of confusion and lack of trust and not knowing what's real. So the more we can come back to our bodies over and over again throughout the day with simple but effective practices, I think this really for me is how we can do embodied work that takes care of body and mind and heart in this ongoing way. And so this for me is what embodiment means. So one of my kind of top selling tools is something called the transitional pause. And let's do that now. I'm going to just do maybe a 5-minute version, but there's a longer version on the SoundCloud. And this is to help us really tune in and try to come together as best we can in the online environment, mindful that maybe we've got kids in the background or family members working or, cats climbing on bookcases, all of those things of life. So I'll invite you to come into a posture that feels this mixture of alertness and relaxation in your body. And you may notice that there's a shift in the posture in order to bring into the body these qualities: alertness in the spine and a softening and a relaxation as best you can everywhere else. And putting our body into this posture gives a strong signal to our brain. We want alertness, tuning in, but also a softening around. So how we are in the body will inform our brain. And as we take 3 breaths, let's turn the camera inwards, really tuning in, turning inwards with our attention. And in part 1, giving ourselves permission to do a light review of the day thus far. Perhaps remembering getting up, coming to the webinar, sorting out the laptop, and just seeing all the activities of the morning or the afternoon, depending where you are. Seeing what stands out. Moments of doing and tasks. Moments of self-care or nurturing. Moments of challenge or difficulty. With no need to modify or analyze. In part 1, seeing clearly the footprint of the day thus far on the body and mind. Letting the attention land on a memory and then expanding awareness around it to really see, okay, yeah, that was a bit rushy, that was a bit red, a bit stressful. Or, oh, actually, no, that was nice. I really did something that cared for my body there. And having given that a bit of space, breathing in, breathing out, perhaps a slightly longer out breath. And switching gears with the attention, narrower focus now to the breath and body, here and now. And that might be feeling the contact of the chair. Relatively simple sensations of bottom on chair. contact and pressure, fabric and temperature. Breathing in, I'm here. Breathing out, it's now. And in this part, there's a little bit of discipline with the monkey mind. So if it wants to scamper off into the future, we say, no, no, not now. I'll get to you later. Here I am with bottom one chair in the breath. If the mind wants to go back to the past, reviewing and reflecting, again, we say, no, 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 not now, not now. I see you, I love you, mwah, kisses. And back to the breath. Focusing as best you can. Mind wanders. Noticing. And coming back. And then part 3, tuning into intentions. Why am I here? What do I need? Why did I make the effort to come to this session now? Tuning into our motivations that lie beneath our actions and choices. Dropping that question into the body more than the head. Body, why did you bring me here? What do you need? And just maybe allowing any impressions or phrases, pictures to arise and crystallize as we take 3 breaths to finish the practice. And if it's helpful for you, maybe taking a note if anything came down for you, and if you want to write in the chat box, you can. So that's tool number 1, transitioning mindfully, and we went through three phases. 1 was really just opening to whatever has been in our lives in the more recent past, going big around those experiences without the need to change, but really gathering data that may be helpful. Then that's zooming in to, okay, but now I'm here. Now I'm actually right here. And then from this position, tuning into intentions to orient to what's needed now. And when I do this practice, what often comes up is my body saying like, oh, please move. Please move, especially if I've been on Zooms all the time. So again, just joining in with what's comfortable for you. But tool number 2 is a mindful movement. And I do really recommend for those working on Zoom to go pretty quick to a shoulder roll. Now, I can do a shoulder roll while I'm talking to you because my brain is highly trained in how to move my shoulders in this backward movement. And just moving is already something very kind to the body. Now, if you have pain or injury, you can maybe go to massaging as another option. You could make any adaptation that you need to be comfortable. So first of all, we just take a kind of a self-care shoulder roll. But if we want to train body and mind at the same time, we want to lock down our attentional system and ask it to focus as best it can on rolling the shoulders. So for me, that's eyes closed is helpful. My visual system is very easily stimulated. So for me to really pay attention, it is helpful to close eyes, but not everybody needs that. And I'm saying to my brain, your job now is to be very, very interested in this movement of the shoulders. Imagining that this is the first time you've ever seen a shoulder roll, and engaging that level of curiosity to the forwards, all of those sensations, the up, or a whole bunch of different sensations, back, maybe some sensations across the chest here, and down. Going slow to see more, but you're in charge, so slow for me may be different to your slow, but some modicum of slowing down can help your brain drink in the sensations a little bit better. And you're also in charge of the force. So if you feel that your body wants to open a bit more, notice that you've decided to do that, and then follow with your mind the sensations that emerge as you open the chest a bit more widely, and perhaps squeeze the shoulders forwards with a little bit more effort to get that stretch across the back. But if where you're at is something small and gentle, or even just with your mind, that's okay. Tuning in. And let's try to do 2 more rolls as best we can, really focusing attention on that movement, just as we would with a breath or a mantra, but making the body the object and the movement, this ongoing sensation. There's 1. And there's 2. Drinking in sensations. And intending the transition to stillness, and resting as we transition from moving to still, maintaining that focus on the shoulders. Perhaps bringing some gratitude to them. And seeing what messages the body has sent to you now. So maybe there may be a pain somewhere that's come to your awareness, or another place in the body that's asking for a stretch. So let's listen to the body. My lower back just spoke to me there, so I'm going to go with some fingers to massage and warm up that area Somebody there saying they noticed a pain in their knee. So again, take those little mini brains at the end of your fingertips to massage or move any body parts that maybe came to your attention there. And it's often, you know, neck and shoulders is where we carry our stresses, our strains. So the humble shoulder roll done mindfully is really an incredible tool. It can teach us about our emotional life. It can teach us about when we're pushing too hard. And one of the most common things that people say when we do this, maybe not some of the embodiment crew, because you're probably already doing quite well, but out there in the corporate world is people, you know, they go, I didn't realize how high my shoulders were. And they got to here because attention was here. Yeah, the whole of the mind had been sucked into the screen and the head got really massive. And so even doing that shoulder roll mindfully trains your brain to start to notice more when the shoulders are creeping up. Yeah. So version 1 is like, I'm stretching, and that's beautiful. Yeah, fantastic. Everybody needs that. Upgrade is to do that with full mindful presence. And maybe your brain is saying, oh, shoulders, that's a bit boring. I don't need to watch a shoulder roll. Your brain is saying, I know how to do that. I know how to do breathing. Why do I have to watch the breathing? Boring. And it's because, let's get to the why. Simon Sinek says, his great work, let's get to the why. Why? You're training your attention, yeah, by selecting a single object, managing distractions, internal and external, staying focused on just that object. Why? So you can drink in the highest quality data from your body, even if it's just 3 shoulder rolls, 5 shoulder rolls, 1 shoulder roll. Why? So that we can learn more about our physical as well as our emotional state. Yeah, and in some of my work, I do explain the why, because those left brain society, very preoccupied with the why. And I like to feed the little why monkey a bit to give people the option to really understand what it is that the brain is doing when we're doing these exercises. And I find that that's a bridge to people that come with more of a science-based orientation, like doctors and therapists and kind of senior levels of corporate particularly. Yeah, exactly. Yeah, Caitlin there saying shoulders, neck, shoulders. I often go shoulders, and then my neck goes, what about me? And then my shoulders go, oh, that's different now you've moved the neck. Yeah, so it's quite nice to just go back and forth. And yeah, seeing some yawning, people mentioning yawning. We could maybe massage the jaw. That's another place where we can get a lot of information. So tool number 3 is soles of the feet. And if you wanted to, you could stand up for this practice. Again, if at any point you just want to keep going with the shoulder rolls, if you want to keep going with the massage, listen to your body, follow its impulses. But soles of the feet can be done sitting or standing. And I know somebody here, it's Evelyn, I think, was talking about working with autism, and soles of the feet is a practice that's really been explored by one of the leaders in the mindfulness field, Singh, who I think is still editor of the Mindfulness Journal. A very simple practice that's, you know, if it's taught well, can really be supportive. And it's a single practice. It didn't require the person to know everything about mindfulness and all the different types of things that you can do. It was just, can you bring your mind to the feet? And if we imagine that our head or our torso is getting congested with thinking and with emotions, this is training
in how to say, I see you, I see you, I love you, but not now. So this is training your brain's braking system, but doing it with this compassion wraparound. So we could maybe try that. Soles of the feet is our target. But if we see mental activity or we notice other sensations in the body, see if you can explore a little phrase. I see you, I love you, thank you, not now. Not now, I'm with my feet. But I've clocked you. I haven't ignored you. I'm not suppressing you. I'm just, much as you would with a toddler, in that kind of 4 to 6 years old phase when you're sort of bringing in some discipline and managing expectations. You're saying, yes, I see you, but not now. And if you needed to shift the weight a little bit from left to right, that might help to bring the attention down to the soles of the feet. A micro movement, shifting left and right. In Tai Chi, we would call this filling the foot and emptying the foot. If you're seated, you could either do the feet or you could still sort of do it on the bum, slightly rocking. If you're standing, shifting the weight, feeling, receiving, pausing with the weight on one side, intending the movement, and then executing the movement with full attention on all the different parts of the movement. Pausing when the weight has reached almost 100%. Noticing your brain's decision to shift back. Finding the first movement in the body. And then watch it unfold. And maybe an awareness that you do need to actually move your attention. So attention is a type of movement. And we have this embodied sense that it was kind of up and we need to put it down. You may notice that your eyes move downwards to support that. Shifting left and right. Asking your brain to prioritize those sensations coming from the feet. Bringing this, I mean, feet incredible, right? The childlike wonder, wow, my feet. All those journeys, all those shoes, flip-flops, work shoes, running shoes. Let's maybe see if we can also remember any times when our feet touch the earth or the sand or the sea. Moments where your feet were truly connected to the earth. If you prefer to keep shifting the weight, if that's helpful, go ahead. But if you wish to come to stillness now, you can too. Working with both memory and attention now. Moments when my feet kiss the earth. Maybe a sense of being in that memory, looking down at your feet, perhaps walking in a forest path, hanging off the bank of a stream or a river. Walking on the beach. Or just in a field, some grass. Bringing some gratitude to the feet. And whatever is your phrases or language, saying thank you. Thank you for the journeys, the movements, the times you took me into trouble and the times you got me out of trouble. Movements made towards a more embodied life. It was your feet that took you there. And finishing with 3 breaths. Letting each breath sink into the belly, all the way down to the feet. As you come back to seated, but standing up if you prefer, yeah. Yeah, just come and settle again, and I'll take a little bit of look at the comments there. So yes, if there's any body part hurting, massage and compassionate touch. If we can't get to a doctor or a physiotherapist, massage and touch is something within the Chinese medical tradition, and certainly within Kung Fu, as a way to help manage our own health as best we can. But of course, sometimes we will need a professional. But at least when we go to a professional, if we've mindfully explored it, the level of detail that we can give to them is that much greater. So we can help them to do their work with us much more easily. Yes, taking time with the shoulders and the neck. Yes, feeding the wine monkey, Rob, I know. Reflect. It's partly it's our training. Yeah, it's our culture. Sometimes it's our training, particularly if you're an analyst or a scientist or any of the professions where this analytic mind is regularly being exercised. It's creating a default mode, the default mode of why. But this sits on top of a very natural instinct that we have. Think about kids, they go through that phase, right? Why? They drive their parents mad because they're just asking why all the time. And for me, there's a distinction there, like how to ask why with this more childlike orientation versus asking why with that more adult, like I need to find an answer why. There's sort of 2 slightly different things there. Matthias, yes, the bridge to our left brain friends. That's been my journey, right? How to really come over into the right brain, to really trust that, to really trust the body, to trust the impulses, And even now, you know, a little bit of science, oh, my brain lights up. Oh, I want to know about that more. But how to work skillfully with both left and right brain. And yes, going into spirit, yes, that's another level of trusting, isn't it? Yeah, what has mindfulness practice brought up for you? Well, you know, tons of habits, tons of habits, tons of unskillful behavior, tons of suppressed, repressed emotions. This is what I call the double-edged sword of awareness. It's not all kind of magical unicorns and little bunnies jumping around fields. You know, when we're really doing the deep work, we are connecting to the shadow, we're looking at our conditioning, we're reflecting on our behaviors in ways that can be very challenging and painful. And that's why it is helpful, not necessarily to have a guru, but even to have a peer supporter or a guide who's just a little bit, a few steps beyond your stage, who can normalize some of what comes up in the practice. And for some individuals, even that first contact with going into the body and the mind can illuminate some, what I call the reds, the psychological threats. And normalizing that, I think, is really important. And that's tricky in the modern mindfulness world, because selling secular mindfulness requires us to make all sorts of great promises, because that's how advertising and marketing works. But the reality is, if you're really doing a mindfulness practice, you will meet challenges. And so one of my top tips for people on any transformative journey is to really think about how you're going to support yourself psychologically and physically with self-care and nurturing. What I call getting into the green is one of the tools to transform. And I gave a little pointer to that as we came online. You know, just manage your dojo. If your laptop is your dojo, how are you going to set that up so that it's kind to your body and mind? Because for sure, if you've got meetings and appointments and clients and you're dealing with other humans online, you're going to meet some challenges and some stressors, and your shoulders are going to move in some way. So how do you create environments that are comfortable for you to work in? How do you create working and personal relationships that hold this green care lens? How do you contract those with one another? How do you contract that with yourself? And you know, getting into the green is a shoulder roll, a stretch, some massage, a cup of tea, a few moments to listen to the birds outside your window, whatever it is for you that just helps you going like, okay, I'm okay, even though it's not okay, even though nothing is okay around me. My bum is on the chair, my breath is going in and out. Maybe I can only move one shoulder. Yeah, but I can move my body. And yeah, some parts of what I'm experiencing are deeply uncomfortable and difficult, but it's not my whole reality. It's not my whole reality. And that's why that sort of widening of the lens of attention is really helpful. Let me see what else is happening there. Yeah. Yes, we need a supervisor. Yeah, type of supervisor, not a rigid kind of dictator, but someone that just can normalize the challenges and the pits and tripfalls of whatever is the path that you've designed yourself. Yeah. You've arrived in flight or fight mode today. Yeah. So, okay, great. Yeah, and maybe there's something there for you, Lucy, as well. I mean, I'm going to just see if I've got time to quickly share 2 more tools, because they may be helpful exactly for these moments. So what we've done is we've tried to transition mindfully as best we can coming into the environment. We've done some shoulder rolls, which has helped us maybe to get green a little bit. So we've done some mindful movement. We've thought a little bit about how to get green. And we've gone to the soles of the feet and just really honored that part of the body that's so important. On my SoundCloud, I've also got some foot massage meditations, and that was the top tip from my Kung Fu teacher. Play with your feet. Yeah, play with your feet on a regular basis. Free health. Yeah, free health for you. And it's particularly helpful if you've got trouble sleeping. If you can't reach your feet for any reason, a foot bath. A foot bath, maybe with some essential oils, lavender, particularly at nighttime. Really simple things that we can do to self-care, and, you know, try it. If it doesn't work, let it go. But try it for at least a couple of times and maybe make some notes or some reflections so you can become your own scientist. And see if you can build up your own toolkit. And this getting into the green language that I'm using, it actually comes from Paul Gilbert's trauma-informed model of brain motivations, and the green system, he calls it the soothing system, the nurturing system, as in contrast to the threat system, which is red, and the drive system, the doing system, which is blue. And we're in a society that's totally dominated by blue, quite dramatically minimized the importance of green, and, you know, thrives on pushing us into the red and through the red, and this language of pushing through and I think COVID is like just smashed right into that paradigm, and it's forcing us now to really look at, what am I doing? How is it actually impacting on my body and mind? What's the true cost to my mental and physical health of this way of living? And then orienting us very significantly towards self-care and being able to communicate to others about what we need to care for our bodies and minds, because we all need that care. How we access it is different. So there's a great mental orientation that I love to share called the 3 C's. And I think we just don't have time maybe to do that. And of course, embodiment also means, for me, and from the embodied cognitive literature, sort of outsourcing brain and learning outside of the brain. Now, as an embodied cognition sort of orientation, I believe that our brain is all through our body, our consciousness is all through our body, and in fact, extended beyond the body. But in my work, I really love to use the body as part of the teaching methodology. So again, seated or standing, as we go into a little quick exercise. It's lovely to have more time, but I really want to share. So the 3 C's, a mental orientation for what to do, particularly when you don't know what to do. Yeah, it's my go-to. If you can hit one of these, then you're being mindful, in my view. And it really works in any situation, but particularly helpful when we're in a challenge, when we're in a muddle, and our brain is just going, all sorts of things. So the 3 C's are courage, curiosity, and compassion. And let's find those in our body now. And just see what the body feels like. So for me, when I go to a posture of courage, it's sort of something that has the arms raised, the feet solid. You might know that Amy Cuddy power poses work. Something could be like a strong pose of Wonder Woman pose here with the hands on the hips, or something that has the chest open and a little bit of sort of slight bit of tension in the body because we're solid, we're ready. So let's go into a posture that for you feels like courage. Is it hands on hips? Is it sort of slightly turned but leaning forward? Is it fists or is it fingers? Is it something on the face like, I'm here, I'm like afraid, but I'm not afraid, in my body? Courage. Taking a few breaths and making an internal selfie. What does that feel like in the body to stand strong, to be open-hearted, strong back, soft belly. Oft quoted phrase, but let's feel that. Open heart, soft belly, strong back. And then letting the arms drop slowly. And as the hands come down, first having the hands in your periphery, noticing that you're drawing them together. And maybe more detail is emerging. And let's switch to really deep curiosity about the hands. Bringing them closer to the face, just as we would if we wanted to look more closely. Let's look at the hands and slowly, slowly bring them to the face. Nice and close. Up to the eyes. And then closing the eyes to feel the hands just without looking. Where is my body in space without my eyes? Coming close, close, close to the forehead and hovering just before you make contact with your face to make the most soft, compassionate, and delicate touch on the forehead with the fingers, where they land, and slowly, slowly, very softly, compassionate touch down the face. Maybe one more stroke, hands and face. Holding, just breathing. I'm here. And orienting the attention back out to the screen. I'm aware of time, so that's a little mini embodied exercise of the 3 C's, and it'd be great to hear some comments, and I'm happy to connect with people on Facebook, the Mindfulness Center of Excellence Facebook page. You can message there if I haven't answered your question, or maybe there were some resources I mentioned. But yeah, great to yeah, the title of the book, yeah, Paul Gilbert, I mean, he's written a number of books. The Compassionate Mind Foundation is a great website where you can find a lot of resources. His clinical work is compassion-focused trauma therapy. And in my sort of working of the science, we use the 3 colors as one of the core frames for thinking about brain's motivational systems and how they impact on body and mind. Thank you, Elka. Yeah, thank you so much. Great. Thank you, Sham. Lots of connections being made. Slow is great. Yeah, it's something so beautiful, just like, oh, the very light touch of the fingers has a sort of sensual quality, not sexual, but it has a sort of sensual quality, particularly if you have your eyes closed. Really gentle, compassionate, caring touch. And going slow, of course, allows our brain to drink it all in. So there were 2 tools that I missed. One was going big and one was hands on heart, but you can explore those on the SoundCloud. And I can see Christopher and Yolanda making movements there as it's time to finish. I want to say thank you to you guys as well for your kind hosting. And Yolanda, I saw you taking part as well. So if you want to stay in touch, again, I think you can pop your email in if you want to write to me privately.
or might get me on the Facebook Mindfulness Center of Excellence, or my website. Thank you so much.
Thank you so much, Dr. Russell. And I just want to say in closing that we did run a little bit long, but you can definitely get in touch via some of the links that we put in the chat there. No, I mean, it was great practice. I'm really happy that we were able to utilize the time. So please, if you did ask a question that we didn't get a chance to talk about, please use one of the links to contact Tamara or the center directly. I just want to say a few words in closing. Next up on the meditation and breathwork channel is Stardust to Embodiment, Humanity's Next Big Step with Dr. William Bloom. And don't forget, you can continue the discussions from the conference at the coffee breaks, which we'll drop a link to in the chat, and also, of course, on the Embodiment Conference Facebook page. As I mentioned in the very beginning, this will be available. This session will be available for free for 48 hours on the website. And then after that, you can log on, you can purchase the access to the conference. And if you do so, you're going to get some extras. We have some features like notes, audio versions of the presentations, learning lists, and some other treats. But I do want to leave a second at the end here, Dr. Russell. If you were to leave us all with your top tip for living a more embodied life, I mean, I think you went into this a little bit earlier, but if you had a sort of top tip, what would that be?
Play with your feet. Honor your feet. Yeah. Thank you, everybody. Thank you. Thank you. Have a great day. Have a good conference, guys. Look after yourselves. You're working so hard. Take care. Bye.